Hey Ed, how you doing?
Hey, great. Thanks, and yourself.
Yeah, what you know these days?
Well, I'm going to only be able to stay till about 10:15. I have two guests coming to play, and we got drizzle.
Well, good.
The fourth person canceled out because he doesn't want to play Carpathol and have to walk too far.
This is what? That's
But he's playing the age card on us right now. He this last week last week he turned 84. Of course he's telling us he can't play. But the 82-year-old and the 81-year-old and the 80-year-old and the 78-year-old are all playing, but he can't play. Life's a challenge for some people.
yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but I saw a note this morning that they said that they think they can stop boiling water down into Asheville.
You know, I heard that yesterday.
And I was so impressed because I have two granddaughters that live there, and one had been away for quite a while working in Ohio because water was just ridiculous. Plus, they didn't have consistent power, and her job is 100% online. She works in the logistics area for Victoria's Secret. So she's out with California and dealing with shipping and receiving in California, shipping and receiving in Ohio. Like she says, I don't talk to anybody in the corporate office. I'm dealing with shipping and receiving all day long.
Gotcha.
Drink water and you don't have water, it's just difficult to stay there.
I There's George Sandman.
George is trying to come in here. If he's like me, he had to finish a call first. I don't know if we're going to see many people today. Everybody seems to be getting so much work. They are like this.
Understand. Good morning, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. How's everybody doing this morning? Great. Good.
Looks like George got a haircut.
George, yeah, George is keeping it short. High and tight, man. A lot going on. And am I on the right microphone? Is that your new space, George? It is new space, yes. Yeah. So we added we're kind of adopting space as it frees up. So the tenant in this office moved, so I moved Dizzy into my office and moved myself in here. So perfect. And this is where I will be for the foreseeable future. Great. It's great space. We're on the third floor, the top floor of an old carriage manufacturer and carriage works. And so it's all exposed brick and rafters and everything. Actually, I had those of you who saw my office in New Hampshire in the old mill, it feels much the same. So well, I know what you like, George, because like I said, I'm in the old power plant for RJR. There you go. There you go. Excellent. I drove right past you the other day, Bob. Well, I'm glad you didn't stop, George. Yeah, you are. So I can't believe that it's I can't.
Oh, exactly.
I can't believe how bloody busy everybody is, which is great.
Yeah, I'm just trying to coordinate December birthdays since I have 7 December birthdays. It gets to be a tad bit challenging.
Juggle, juggle, juggle. Hey, it's a high class problem to have, man. So, hey, can I game something up for you guys? We've been working literally day and night on C3D, and we've recorded the first three. Not the first three. We have recorded 3 of the 16 classes, and that's picking up steam now. And you will be seeing your very own Ed Wonky talking about business value, because he may know a thing or two about that. So as part of the C3D, it got me thinking about continuing education, a topic I love to hate. And because it has always struck me, and guys, please, shoot me down if you disagree, please take umbrage, take exception. But continuing education has always felt to me like, I mean, on the one hand, the association, let's take the AICPA. The AICPA is telling the market that anyone who has the CPA designation has certain skills. And so it stands to reason, or we'll take attorneys, right? The ABA is saying, that these are attorneys in good standing. And we are going to make sure that they stay current by participating in continuing education. And that's where I feel like the wheels fall off the bus. And continuing education is often, rightly or wrongly, if you participate, not even participate, if you watch this webinar, or if you're at least present for this webinar, because a lot of people don't even watch it, we're going to give you points, right? So when I was thinking about continuing education, how do we tell the market that we have some quality assurance, that Ed and Bob and Steve are C3D certified in the 3 dimensions of business growth? That's cool. And I'd be happy to talk about why that's important. But our vision as a business is to increase strategic capacity for $1 trillion of businesses. Cool. Well, how do we help the market understand? I mean, if they see all 3 of you as C3D, that's cool. How do they know where you are in your journey to being a master, right? To mastery. Go ahead, Bob.
So this is one thing we are identifying with AI, George.
Okay.
What we're doing is for businesses, for somebody to learn something. Let's say, so we're dumping all that information. So you dump all your videos, you dump everything in there. You dump any interview you've done, you do any post you've done, you put literally everything in there. And then you organize it. But then you can say, hey, develop a 3-hour program on, privately owned businesses, I don't know, whatever that's blank is. Okay. And I want it to be, 3 hours. I want it to be 1 hour, 3 times a week, whatever it is. Okay. So, develop it, say, here's the prompts that you want on it. And then at the end of it, develop 5 questions based on that.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's what we're doing for training for that's what Andrew and I are doing for training for a lot of businesses. But this is the same thing because, hey, George is coming in to this business and they need to learn something. So, they have all this information. And so it's like, okay, we're going to get Susie your ability to go through it. And then that is the process they're going through to educate. I mean, so then bottom line is you don't have to come up with the questions. AI comes up with the questions. And you could say, make them on a scale of 1 to 10, make them a 5. I mean, so you could scale. So that's just an idea.
Yeah. No, Bob, we have, and I agree with you. I mean, that is, so I can't have because we're using AI to leverage the training for sure, and to create, to be better graphics, on a better user experience. But my question goes to, and by the way, when you participate in C3D, you're going to get several resources. You will get access to, let's just take one class. For that one class, you'll have access to the videos. You'll have access to the transcript. You'll have access to key takeaways, right? Or just a list. You will have completed a short quiz on the class, and you will have client-facing talking points on that topic. So it's a pretty rich set. But my question goes to, okay, you go out to the market. How do we tell the market that you are high quality? That's C3D, but just take that as a given. The market will say, oh, well, how cool. And Ed, for example, has more experience with value growth than Silvana, right? And how do we tell the market, and how do we allow Silvana to level up? And so what I'm thinking about doing is saying, all right, cool. We're not going to have people to get points on the road to mastery. And let's just spitball this. To be a master, let's say it's 1,000 points. And let's say that we want, we think 5 years of experience, or the equivalent of 5 years of experience is what we're going to start saying is being a master in the 3 dimensions of business growth. Very cool. Well, that implies that you've done something, that that you're out there doing, that you are practicing profit and value growth. And so once we're done, once we have the certification and the exam, and AI is absolutely helpful in doing first passes at some of this, at some or much of this of the course material, then I'm asking myself, okay, cool. Well, what are we going to do as a community to demonstrate that we know how to get done? And that comes down to participating in workshops. That comes down to directly working with clients, submitting, Silvana and I talked about this last night, submitting case studies, all of which earn points, so that if I come to the market, if I come to the community and I'm looking to collaborate with someone who's going to help maximize value, I can say, well, Steve, Bob, and Ed are all C3Ds. Ed has 640 points on the path to mastery. Steve is new to the community and he has 40. Does that mean I should pick Ed? No, but that means that Ed has demonstrated a lot of engagement with clients, actually moving the needle with clients to move them forward. And I just wanted to spitball that concept with you guys as we focus on continuing to tell the market that you guys are killer people with whom they should collaborate. And this goes directly to, if we think about, let's pick a big bank, pick Wells Fargo Advisors, right? They don't want to introduce just anyone to their clients. They want to introduce people who they understand. And that's actually where C3D becomes so killer, is a stamp of experience, so that, again, it doesn't matter who we use, Morgan Stanley, Raymond James, we're trying to collaborate with wealth advisors. If they know that they can look at your LinkedIn profile, you've been out there for 30 years, and you have several designations, among them C3D. That tells them that you have a methodology and a process that you are going to roll out in their clients, that you have taken a pledge that you are going to be a good collaborator, right? That you're going to honor their relationship with their clients, that you're not going to cause them agita, that you're going to be very communicative, etc. And so it's this concept of points on the path to mastery that it really has me intrigued in doing some, not just thinking, planning on offering this for you guys. And again, no gun to anyone's head that they have to do it, but I'm working my tail off to get you guys to stand up programs that will bring opportunities to collaborate in engagements to this community. And so that's kind of a long-winded, that's what I've been thinking about.
Well, I will jump in only because, I've been in continuing ed classes. Last week I did 12 hours. First week in December, I've got another 10 hours booked. Second week, I have another 4 hours booked. But the interesting part is every class I'm going to is covering areas that I don't use on a continuing basis. So it's reaffirming in my mind things I forgot about and that I maybe not focused on. A classic example is I was looking and they did a little presentation on tax. And, everyone says, oh, well, boring federal tax and state taxes and all that. Well, one of the things they talked about was if you have a client that's a service company and they charge tax, all the supplies they buy that they pay tax on should be applied as a credit. Well, lo and behold, who had a meeting with the client in my office, and I'm sitting there and I said, well, how much do you buy each year that is consumed in your commercial cleaning business? And she says, probably about $150,000. I said, well, 6% times that is going to get you a very nice credit on your state of Ohio sales tax return. And she says, well, I didn't know that. And likewise, the other gentleman that was there, he had no idea, because that's not in their bailiwick. I completely forgot about it. But when I was at ChemLaw, that was one of the biggest things I did was I got them recovering all of that back. This was back in 1978 and 79 and 80 when I knew it, but I had forgotten about it because I don't use it every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're next, Silvana.
Silvana, good morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry I'm not going to be able to stay the whole hour, but I want to make sure that I joined the meeting and gave you an update about what was going on. But I wanted to first ask a question to George based on what he was trying to share with us. So George and I talked a little bit yesterday, so probably, I'm also bringing into this conversation on this question some of the things we talked, but taking a step back and sort of like leveling sort of our understanding of what we're trying to do is, and I love the 1 to 4 or 5 rate, framework that George mentioned in Charleston as far as who are you and what you do and how deep do you go. I think that our community comes from different angles to value growth. And our community utilizes what we're learning and, have a different angle, the way that they go to market with the value growth. So I think it's wonderful that we have the opportunity to have a designation. And although it's going to be a relatively new, the way I see it, and this is how I explain the value growth framework to everybody, is that this is in my humble opinion, a groundbreaking way of looking at business and value growth holistically, not from one angle versus another. So it's something that I have not necessarily seen in the market the way that it's done, and that's why I'm very excited about it. So going back to the training part, we all come with 20 years experience. We're not going to go to the 30 because we don't want to date ourselves, but and we all come with wearing different. We have strength, or with things that have done more, but things that have done less. But the bottom line is we have really done a lot of these things. So question number 1 I have for George, and if he doesn't have the answer, we can talk about it, or he can come back to us. But how does your thinking right now, or what direction are you going to assess the knowledge and value we bring to the table before even getting the training, and how does that add value to what's your depth, what's your maturity in being that advisor?
So that's exactly the point. That's exactly the right question, Silvana. Now, if I go out right now and I was trying to decide which of the 4 of you to hire, what would I do? I would go and look at your LinkedIn profile. I would look at your personal or corporate website. I would go and hopefully read some of the articles and white papers and whatever you've worked on, contributed to, places you've worked before. And I'm starting to say, okay, I'm getting a picture. And by the way, Bob, to your point, AI does a wonderful job. If I say, write me a bio for Silvana Nani, it will write a fantastic bio. You just have to go through and make sure it's full. Now, Silvana has a unique name, George Sandman, unique name. That's easier. Ed Wonka, unique name. Bob, a little less, but just go through it and we can read it. So we get a snapshot. Silvana, to your point, and I'll know that you are a wealth advisor. And I should be able to learn easily on your website what type of work you do, right? If I can't figure out very quickly, you got how many seconds, exactly why I should talk to you, then you need to look at your own positioning, how you're positioning yourself in the market. Let's just say you've got all that right. You're a wealth advisor. Now, what do I want to know? Well, I want to know if you can help me. Let's say I'm a CEO. I'll just make this easy. Or make it even easy. Let's put a case in point. You're not a wealth advisor. You're a business advisor. You do exactly what you do today. You are a value growth quarterback, and I'm a wealth advisor, and I want to see if I want to hire you. Well, I see that you have this C3D certification from Growth Drive. I can, in moments, figure out what the heck that is. And I see that you have, and you can advertise this or not, you can share it or not, but that you have, and by the way, we're going to highlight this in the community, that you have X points, mastery points. And now if I'm trying to figure out, so I've got some quality assurance. I know who you are. I know what you do. I know your central profession, right? You are a business advisor. You are a management consultant. And by the way, don't leave people guessing. Define the out of yourself, please. Niche yourself. Be very, very clear. You're not scaring anyone away. You're actually attracting people. And then I can say, and she has all these certifications, one of which is from this crazy outfit called Growth Drive. So I know that she's bringing a methodology, a process. Maybe you're talking about the fact that you have access to, that you have an embed in 90.io, that people can get this done. I mean, all the things you can talk about, but you can present to the market a statement of quality of your understanding. That's what CPA, CEPA, CBEC, CEXP, all of these designations, CMNAA, what all these designations mean. And I want to make sure that when we say I'm a C3D, that it means something, and that meaning is quantifiable. Not simply I've been a CPA for 20 years. I mean, that's cool. That's very cool. That's a depth of experience. But I want to hone it down a little more tightly. And to Ed's point earlier, and the way to do that, frankly, is case studies. And to write a case study, you need not have completed engagement. Case study can be a window into a certain aspect of an engagement. You could write a case study about discovering strategic intent, right? You can write a case study about analyzing strategic capacity, or. So you can write a case study about running a senior leadership alignment workshop. All of that. I mean, the world is your oyster. So by submitting those case studies, though, you're creating collateral for yourself. And imagine if the community has submitted 500, 1,000 cases, and you have a library, and that's what we're going to build, ladies and gentlemen, a library of cases that you can then pull and hand to your client and say, here's the type of results that the methodology and process I employ delivered to something that looks and smells like what you're trying to do. Does that all make sense?
Excellent. Steve, one more reflection on what he said, because George, you added very important information and color on part of my question, but as you go to AI gives you as good answers as your prompts. I probably didn't prompt this correctly. I was thinking more from your perspective. I wanted to see, what does Girl Drive and George, as the master of the training and certification, how do you vet us? How do you look all of us and say, hey, you made a very good point. Ed, could be 600. Silvana could be 300. But Ed and Silvana are not quite the same. So is it fair, or is it the right thing to be 6 and 3? Or there are probably 2 or 3 lanes within that. And then the points are connected to that. And one more thing, the previous experience has some sort of value to that, even if they're new to the Growth Drive. So that's what I'm curious to figure out. Sorry, Steve.
So what's interesting is, let's take an EOS implementer. If we look at an EOS implementer, we have to go look beyond EOS to understand their background. There may be a bio, a short bio on the EOS website about, Frank Smith, Dale Williams, right? EOS implementer extraordinaire. And that's cool. But you need to do, we always have to do our due diligence. So what I will commit to, Silvana, I think this is answering your question. And if it's not, hit me up. What I will commit to is that, we continue to attract senior professionals. You were the one who asked me, how the heck, you didn't say how the heck do you attract such high quality people? And I said to you, right? Remember what I said? I don't know. This is who is attracted to what we're talking about. I don't have a strategy per se, but the effect of our strategy is to attract. So all I'm saying to the market is, Silvana, you go and judge Silvana on her own merits, on her professional background. All I'm saying is that Silvana came, She completed the course. She sat through 16 classes. She successfully completed the quizzes. She moved forward. She read the material. She came to the review sessions or not. That's up to you. She completed the exam, and she did that in 2020. That's all we're saying to the market. And then we're saying to the market, here is the body of knowledge that Silvana has demonstrated she understands. Now what's important is I'm thinking you might want to also, guys, and this is what I'm asking, say to the market, not only do I understand it, but I'm doing it. And I am a CPA by training. I am a growth driver by avocation. And I have here are some case studies. I've earned 140 points on the path to mastery. I am committed. I am engaged. How do we define you? Your skill, your experience, it's not skill, right? Your experience at doing, right? And doing need not mean that you're writing strategic plans and leading execution of those plans. Let's go back and pick on a wealth advisor. Doing might mean that you're a wealth advisor who has used 90 to run 14 clients through the growth conversation. Well, you're doing a lot of good, right? Uncovering strategic intent, uncovering strategic capacity, starting to help them understand what you're educating the heck out of your client. You're a 2. Great. 2s aren't to be dismissed. We love 2s. 2s need 3s and 4s. So you might say, I'm a deeply experienced 2. I'm great at having the growth conversation. I do this with all my business owning clients. I get brought in by others. I'm so good at it that I do it with their clients. Am I making sense?
Yeah, you are.
Yes.
I'd like to say a couple of words, and my mind can always shift. But my first reaction, and I say this not because I only have 40 points. That's not my.
It's like, why did I only get 40 points? You can have 100.
Can I give you some of my points?
Yeah. Well, you got plenty. So anyway, I mean, it won't happen overnight, but some of the initiatives that the initiative that Silvana is working on with you and with all of us will be an element of it. I guess everyone except for Silvana has some gray hair here. So remember the commercial. Remember the commercial EFUN?
Yeah.
When they talk, everyone listens. So in essence, that's kind of where I'd like Growth Drive to get to, so that once you're associated with that community, you're in. And the community has already vetted you. You've been through X, Y, and Z to get, your qualifications and sort of thing. But in essence, the combined wisdom of the community, and it just develops, it over time will develop a reputation as getting stuff done.
Yes. Yeah. I love it, Silvana. Thank you. Thank you, Steve. Yes. That is what we're starting to, guys, by the way, that's what we're starting. The market sees us in that way. Now we need to broaden we need to just broaden.
So can I give everybody, before I turn into a pumpkin, a very quick update, because I wanted to make sure that you are aware of both my thinking and activities when it comes to what we discussed 2-3 weeks ago about the use case development. So I've had a really good conversation with George, and I am approaching this methodically. And the way that I'm going about it is this. The goal, just to be all on the same page, is that we develop a handful of cases that are representative of the type of problems we solve for our clients. And the goal would be that preferably those cases can be a compilation of what our members and our colleagues are working on. We'll scrap them, and then we'll make them very specific. So there is no more, well, you came up with this and something is wrong. It's actual cases, just the names, and anything else that it is identifying somebody or another company is not going to be there. So the way that I'm going about it is I already talked to George, and I'm going to start to take a look at the REACH use case and make sure that I work with George. I'll do the heavy lifting. George will be working with me and assisting me when needed to turn that into the golden template, for lack of a better term, of the type of use cases and how we want the use cases to run. Then after that, and I'm expecting probably in the next 2-3 weeks or a month, because George is busy and I want to make sure that we're thorough. Then when we have the golden template, then in parallel with that, I will probably in a week or two, or like the beginning of December, I will ask the community to nominate any cases that they think they are good representation of how Growth Drive helped us, you, in solving the client problem. Before that, George and I will probably also come up with like certain avatars or personas and certain pain points mapping to those personas. And the reason why I want to do that is because it'll help all of us to figure out what this use case is about and how do we use this use case to make our point to the customer, and what examples do we lift from that use case or we highlight to make our points. So the clearer is our back end and why these cases and what we're trying to accomplish with them, the easier it is for everybody then to use them. So my initial goal is to have reach and maybe 4 other cases. So we'll have 5 cases, and those 4 cases will be built based on the golden template. And then we start with those, and we will have an interactive conversation as we work with it. It cannot be all my work, but I will do the coordination and I'll do the methodical steps getting there. And hopefully by early mid-January, we might be able to have at least 70%, 80% use cases, so all 5 of them, done, and we can review them. We can have the community add, subtract, whatever thoughts. And then by the end of January, God willing, would be able to just say, okay, these are our first 5 cases. And then we can use the same methodology, rinse, repeat, to add more cases to highlight what it is that we're doing every day. And I know George is on top of the advisors, but from a use case perspective or from building the community knowledge-based perspective, either George or I that can go in and look at all our community and say, hey guys, this is the first 5. What is missing? Is there anything that you are seeing out there in the market day in and day out that could use a use case for demonstrating the value of it or the details or what matters to whom? And as you guys bring them in nomination, we can start building that. That's how I am going about it, and that's the plan. And so just wanted to brief you all about where we are.
Yeah, and I'm sorry that I missed the conversation. Was it just last week?
The conversation was about 2-3 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, I would say a couple of weeks ago, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
That's awesome. And Silvana, thank you. And it's incredibly generous of you with your time. I know that time is a very finite resource. And guys, any questions of Silvana? I know she has to scoot.
Now, I have another suggestion, George.
Please.
So you're trying to do, kind of, please correct me if I'm wrong, what EOS did. Because not do what they do, but basically take a system and get it into the market.
Heck yes, because we can't, if we're going to move the needle, we need to.
Right. So my question is, why don't we do a study on how EOS marketed their business? Because in essence, Growth Drive is just another system of EOS. It's scaling up. It's whatever it is, but there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. So they're very successful. Why don't we figure out how EOS did it and say, okay, that's a great path. However, Gino Whitman did it.
And Gino's a great guy. And that is part, that's part of our research. And I won't surprise you that I've looked into it. And Bob, yes, but we are not, but I want to make sure we're not trying to be EOS.
No, that's not. We're not trying to be EOS. I'm just saying to say, how did EOS get it? You're asking how to get the word out.
Well, and the key in my mind strategically is, traction is out there being read by all sorts of, by business owners, right? And So when we get into these case studies, when we get into my next book, which is The Growth Driving CEO, how do we lean into CEOs and get them to put their hand up to say, hey, I might need some help. And we have a lot of those answers already. The question then becomes, okay, well, if we have answers for CEOs and if they can create awareness, are you taking off, Silvana?
No, I thought of something about what you're saying, but I'll wait until you're done before I go, and I'll let you know what I had in mind.
So my question becomes, all right, well, we have a lot of advisors in the community, right? And more all the time. And more all the time. So as we grow this community, how do we go out and say we want to be able to say to business owners, to CEOs, hey, by the way, if you have one of these three problems, and we know what the three problems are, you might want to talk to a C3D and just have an initial consultation with them. You don't have anything to lose. So you're going to get an initial analysis of your business. You're going to have a much better understanding, or maybe they've already used Clarity One and they have an initial understanding of their business. Why don't you sit down and for free get someone to help you read the tea leaves? That we need to lean out into the market. The point that I will make and make again, most of the people who are implementing EOS are not EOS implementers. They're business owners who have taken their copy of Traction, the Vision Traction Organizer, and a couple of the other excellent tools that EOS has, have said, hey, I'm going to sit down with my team and we're going to do a sophisticated, I call it a navel gaze, but that sounds really dismissive. We're going to harness what we know, and we're going to move this business forward. And that's terrific. That's good for the market, and I applaud it. We come in with a different perspective. We're like, okay, what you know is very cool. There's a lot of things being done out there. That competitor that's busy kicking your butt, what are they doing that you might be doing to get back ahead of them, to outperform? And we bring an outside perspective. So they're very complementary, but we bring this outside perspective. Okay, I'm on a bit of a roll. But
I think you hit that on the head, George, with the EOS thing. One of the accounting firms that I've had some contact with, every one of the owners, he gives the EOS book and suggests that they consider reading it and then put it in place. And he'll even hold their hand, but he's no implementer. He's the head of an accounting firm that they only work in the construction industry because their big thing is trying to do the WIP at the end of the month, so that you can do build but not done, and shall I say, and costs incurred but not used.
Well, and there's an additional point. Go ahead, Silvana. Yeah.
Sorry, I got to run, but I just wanted to tell you to follow on the previous comment about doing this versus that. If the CEOs or the key people within a company, but I would say CEOs, it is the purpose. And I've seen firsthand how EOS came in front of CEOs. I think that, and you probably have already done it, and I'm redundantly telling you what might be good, but becoming a speaker for Vistage and for YPO will exponentially increase the visibility of the growth drive as a bona fide tool for business and value growth, because this is how EOS did it. And you know that.
100%. And we are going to raise significant capital, and that capital will, once deployed, you're taking off. Also, what that capital once deployed will allow me to free up some time. And I have a huge sense of urgency. If we don't, I need to help you. My part of my role is to help you get in front of business owning clients, CEOs. Because if we do not get in front of them, they think they're fine, right? And you have strategic relationships between, for example, 90 and EPI. Well, EPI doesn't have any doers. By the way, I'm excited. Eric Owen, now officially a member of this community. Love to have him. But, here's a guy, EPI has no doers. We're showing up and saying, hey, we're a community of doers. by and large. Even our wealth advisors have come into this community because they want to be 3s and maybe lean into being a 4 a little bit. Terrific. So what if we're saying to those EPI CPAs, hey, you want to use 90? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's a methodology embedded, like a self-directed private equity play that is embedded in 90. And for low dollars, you can start your client on that journey. And if you want to get some help, you want to collaborate with someone, we have a quality assured community of profit and value growth doers who would be thrilled to help you and who understand your relationship with the client, honor your relationship with the client, will communicate with you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, who skew to collaboration. That all making sense? So it's going to take a little while for this to gain momentum, but I am working again night and day. And there are some things I can't talk about, but there's tremendous, I need you guys to, what do I commit to you? To help you build a thriving advisory business based on delivering client wins. And it is incumbent on me to do everything that I can to help you, not with marketing programs, right? Marketing programs don't get anything done. Positioning yourselves as authorities, 100%, right? Case studies, webinars, podcasts, hot seat participation, et cetera. So, all right.
Gentlemen, it's always lovely.
So,
I'm sorry I have to go. If anybody has any questions about the use cases, please feel free to reach out to me. You've got my email, but I'll see you next week.
Awesome. So, have a great day. All right, guys. I know I got up on my lectern. Sorry for the sermon.
One added point on that, George, and you're doing it, but kind of along the lines that I mentioned before, that E.F. Hutton talks, blah, blah, blah. Once the market accepts the methodology, to some extent, it takes a little bit of the onus off the individual plumber or electrician that's implementing the methodology, and it helps the community at large.
There is so much, guys. There is so much, and there's so much bullshit happening out there. I would just, in another room, help lead a workshop with wealth advisors, and 12 people in the room, not a single one would introduce what they call a value advisor into their client. For all the reasons that I learned in Denver at the BEI conference. So now we're 32, 34, 44. We're 2 for 44, 1 for 22, whatever that is, sub 5%. 3.7%. They have had so many bad experiences. And what we need to do, I don't want to, we're not going to evangelize, but what we need to do is say, hey, listen, we're stable. We're cool. You want to know what we do? Hey, check it out. Come to the website, take the C3D, read the case studies. You want to know what we do? We can describe, we'll tell you what the methodology and process are. And and there's some really cool opportunities. And I am, I'm a fire breather on this. So I'm psyched. All right. What else, guys?
I had a question for Ed. You know Ed very well.
I do.
Maybe you can answer this. Sometime in the last week or two, I got to ponder when Ed does his certified valuations, how does he factor growth drive or clarity into his answers?
I can't answer that on Ed's behalf. He does use clarity, but when he does a calculation there's a calculation of value, then there's an opinion of value. And when he writes a formal valuation, I don't know to what extent it would be appropriate to include a growth drive in it. I teach CVAs how to make value actionable, but I don't teach how to calculate value. Does that make sense? So you should ask him that question.
I was going to, but unfortunately he had to pull the ripcord here before I got a chance. But
Well-
obviously it's only logical. I mean, think of a worst case. The owner is the business. So Ed or the other CBA can run the numbers. But if the owner is the business, then do the numbers really mean anything?
Well, and that goes, I had an investment banker, the workshop I just referred to, was with Mike Garrison. And he brought an investment banker in to speak right after me. It's not speak, to chat, all right, with the group. And the investment banker, the first thing, somebody asked him, well, what, you know, when you sit down with a client, what do you do? What do you think the first thing he referred to? We recast their numbers. I think the first thing, like, because, you know, I think you just hinted at, you know, we can calculate an accurate value for the business, but it's based on the information the CEO is giving us. And if their numbers, if their tax returns, if the net income that they are reporting is driven by tax planning, it is very different than when we recast the numbers so that the books are kept on an accrual basis and we put all the added back, et cetera, pulled the lifestyle out of it and made it look like a professionally managed business. So, you know, what's interesting, Steve, it kind of on point but different is when we look at, so we've now done a number of, you know, Biz Equity is out in the market. We're out in the market. And some of your colleagues are using, and you use VFD Pro, right? Similar, different. But where they're coming back and saying, okay, my colleague is using Biz Equity, I'm using Clarity, and it's not going to surprise you. We come up with a very similar calculation of value. I don't have a huge tool, but so far, every time it's a similar calculation of value, but where we then say, but here's the transferable portion of that value, not the value for writing insurance. This is the value for planning or projecting a price. And if you want to do an internal transfer, the value of your business is going to be X. If you're going to sell it to a third party, the transferable value is going to be Y. And you know, this is an entire other topic of conversation that I'm going to be recording that session on value with Ed as co-pilot here, maybe even later this week. I've got to nail Ed down, but we have a value in C3D. There's a value, what I call value 101. But, you know, let's get into the fascinating topic. I'm not sure I just answered your question, but I sure said a lot.
You did. That's fine. Hey, just another miscellaneous point on designation and points and all that good stuff that we were talking about a little while ago. I let one of my alphabets after my name go last year because one of the requirements to keep it is going to a conference that I didn't want to go to. So does that make me less capable of doing the job that my acronym suggested that I could? I don't think so. So anyway,
yeah,
designations and certifications, there's, you know, it's,
you know, there are lifelong learners.
Yeah.
I don't know which one you let lapse, but I surmise, just talking to a lot of you guys, that if maintaining your designation requires you to do things, not sit in the dark watching the wall flicker, but to do things like, hey, you know, I had this cool case, I'm going to write it up. By the way, I don't want it to be onerous. I'm not trying to ask for days of your time. You know, writing up a case is easy. Here's what the client's issue. Here's the rule that would solve, you know, that we would expect to solve that issue. Here's what happened when we apply, you know, here's how we applied it, and here's the result. And the result could be, you know, whatever. There are going to be people who don't want to do any of that. They come, they earn the C3D, they get the deeply steeped in the 3 dimensions of growth: strategic intent, strategic capacity, the analyze, design, execute cycle. They understand what the heck's going on, and then that's enough for them. Very cool. Very cool. there are others, and we tend to attract lifelong learners. So we're going to, want to, the reason I say workshops and not webinars is in a workshop, you have to participate. You are putting in, you are contributing to the result. That's a great way to earn points, right? Because you know me, if you're in a workshop, there is no corner in which to hide. Same with writing cases, same with participating in it's Steve, Bob, you were just here. If I say you need to come to the conference every couple of years, that is because we are not sitting in rooms listening to someone speak. There's a little bit of that, but most of it is, sleeves rolled up, with the pedal down, and it's fun. It's fine. Steve, this year I did, and Bob was there. I was like, I am not going to do to you what I have done in the past, which, we're going to dial the intensity back a hair. People seem to have a good time. So, Steve, you didn't really ask a question, but
I was just giving an observation.
Yeah, you don't have to. Saying we're going to strip you of, you just haven't earned any points on the path to mastery. I'm not going to take away the fact that you sat through C3D. You're letting the market know that you haven't earned any points in the intervening period. By the way, it's self-reported. I mean, not, submitting a case study. You guys are honest. I've never had a problem. You guys, this is all going to be self-reported. I earned 20 points this quarter. Great. Good. Let's put them up on the board. So I'm really excited about what the future has, and deeply committed to getting you and Bob and Silvana and everyone in front of clients. And that's what I'm working hard on. We gotta get out there and do. We have to touch people. We have to educate them, and we'll have some fun.
I think I missed, you've given a couple of webinars in the last 2 or 3 weeks, haven't you, that are probably recorded, and because my calendar was full, so I wasn't able to attend, but is that correct?
They are recorded. Go to our YouTube channel, Steve.
Okay.
I'll be up there. And then we have a webinar tomorrow with Beth LaGuardia Cooper from CMO at Forbes. So that's tomorrow at noon. And then on Friday at noon, we have Brandon Snyder, who runs strategic partnerships for 90. And he and I are going to collaborate. He's going to do most of the talking about the growth drive methodology embed in the 90.io platform. And then after that, we'll be putting together our first cohort of, our first 90 cohort. So, and then there's a lot of interest. So I'm excited.
You're always excited, George.
Man. Well,
which is a good thing. So
yeah, this is good work we're doing here.
Yeah.
All right, guys, I have a very important question before we wrap this up. It's just the three of us here. What's the favorite thing at the Thanksgiving on the Thanksgiving table?
I'll just say turkey.
Yeah, you're going with turkey, Bob?
Well, I noticed I really like the company. So this year it's going to be pasta. Just went to Italy. We are making it's going to be a family tradition. Everybody has to make pasta, and got to make the noodles and everything else. So
I love it.
I don't know this year.
Well, you know what's funny? So my boys, when they were growing up, they had their grandmother, their grandfather lived in separate houses, and their mother and me. So that's 4 opportunities for turkey. And the other 3, we're not going to give up their opportunity to throw turkey at the boys. So the boys and I started a tradition of doing a traditional Thanksgiving paella. And we did paella every year and had a ton of fun. And anyway, I'm with you. I'm with you, Bob. We're having, we have friends, Greek friends who are coming over, and we're going to have a Greek-ish Thanksgiving, and I'm really psyched. It'll be fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going to miss my mother's creamed onions. I may have to like a 6-hour process to make them know.
Well, I like my mom used to make candied sweet potatoes, and I make them. That's my thing, and that's a process.
That is a process, man.
So is there no meeting next week?
Yeah, we'll have a meeting on Tuesday. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll be here. And then I'll probably go up to the deer lease and
So George, the reason I wanted that complete, and I know it's got 2 minutes, the complete case study, is I was wondering if that might be two things. That would be a nice thing to kind of, when I sit down with clients, say kind of, here's what one looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really kind of the impetus behind that.
Bob, you want to have some fun? You're good with AI. In the community, if you go in and just type in the search bar like Ridge or case, there is a 5-ish page case study about Ridge. And we could amplify that very easily. That's what Silvana's going to do. Where we should end up, coming out of the gate is we should have a case on the growth conversation on strategic intent. We should have a case on CEO clarity, team clarity, the senior leadership workshop alignment workshop. We should have a case about creating predictable profits and cash flow. And you guys are doing this all the time. That's what I'm starting to hammer on. I'm like, you guys are out there doing it. If I can convince you to take a couple of hours and write it up, or send us your notes and we'll do it for you, or create the sustainable growth, same as transferable value.
Okay. And the other quick thing I know we're going to go is, I like the way that EOS does that 90 minutes. So it's very structured how they get clients. It's very structured.
Yeah.
And I wasn't quite sure if that might be a good thing or not.
Which aspect of what they do?
Their 90-minute meeting.
Yeah.
I mean, the initial 90-minute meeting, when they sit down with owners and you say, okay, here's the process. And basically after that, it's either you're in or you're out.
That's right. Well, you guys should be. Well, let's talk about that, Bob, because that's what the growth. Let's even put the growth conversation aside. Using Clarity One, you're actually showing them. You're demonstrating the value. You can have a conversation about strategic capacity, its impact on value, et cetera, right there in that first. And you're like, and then if we work together, we're going to get deeper intel on your strategic capacity, and then we're going to use that intel to create a strategic plan to move the business forward. And we don't even have to create a plan, right? Heck yes, Bob.
Okay. Well, I'll
Go ahead.
Okay, that's it. Thank you, George.
Guys, thank you very much. I'll see you next Tuesday.